Well, I think two things. One, very exciting, and two, very depressing. I think exciting in that there's a new world opening in terms of multimedia, and the possibilities are endless. Depressing, I say, because the business model is broken, especially for newspapers and print media, and the resources that we had even 5 years ago aren't there. But I think that makes this job, the job of journalists, all the more important. That young journalists coming up in the next 5 to 10 years, much is going to be demanded of you, because you're not going to have, your news organizations aren't going to have the resources to do some of the things we've done in the past, and yet the world needs you even more.
I think that there is a future to journalism. I think there'll always be a need for journalism and quality journalism. And my fear is that in trying to cater to younger audiences, millennials, that journalism will be dumbed down to 173 characters or something like that, and I have more faith in younger generations than thinking that that's what they want. So I would hope that the future of journalism doesn't go that way and continues solid, big storytelling, because those are the kind of stories that shape our worldview and have the potential to change our society, and I don't think we can do that in little nuggets that are coming through on your iPhone every day.
I know lots of people are really concerned about the future of journalism because we haven't figured out the business model and what's actually going to pay for this content online in the digital age, and that's no question a huge concern. But I have the feeling that within the next couple of years, and we're already seeing some evidence of this, that's going to be worked out. So I'm actually, on balance, extremely optimistic. And the reason I'm optimistic is because never before in human history have people had access to more information than they do now, through more mechanisms, through more voices, through more sources.
I think that the core, like, investigative techniques and the basis of journalism will still be important. I think you are going to see a lot more social media. I think there's going to be a lot more of hyperlocal websites starting. We're already seeing tons of citizen journalism, like with the blizzard that just happened in Chicago. People were sending their photos in and calling from Lakeshore Drive, abandoned in their cars and stuck. I think, so you're not just going to have, the professional journalists are still going to be needed, but you're going to have a lot more of citizens providing news.
Students should learn and practice the craft of journalism because essentially we write the first draft, the rough draft of history. If no one's here to record what happened, if no one's here to record who's running for mayor or what things they said or what's crazy and what's not crazy, the tsunami and the basketball games or whatever have you, then 100 years from now when people look back and try to understand our culture and where we are, they won't know. The historians can only do their job after the journalists have first taken the notes.
Because I think that, number one, you have to have some fundamental tools to do this well. You have to be able to think critically. You have to be able to organize and write a narrative. You have to make sense of a fact pattern. You have to understand certainly the legal and ethical implications of our field and what is permissible and what is not. Great journalists are great synthesizers of all of those things, and I think that real-world experience can be tremendously beneficial and is tremendously beneficial. But there's no question that the kind of skills that you get in a classroom setting are very, very hard to replace, and I think frankly are going to be even more important going forward, because that's what's going to separate the average Joe who's at home doing some of this production from someone who actually is really focused.
We can't give up on the need for people to think critically about what's going on around us and to report on that. I think that's the fourth estate. That is so important, critically important for our society, to have people thinking and asking questions about what's being done. So we can't give up on that. You know, again, that need is always going to be there, and I think training another generation of people who will ask the questions and then put that information out there for consumers, that's vital for us to continue as a democracy even.
Well, I think that you need to have the foundation. You need to learn investigative skills, how to be a great writer, how to ask the right questions. You know, I think that that's definitely needed. The professional journalism aspect is not going to be thrown out the window because there's more bloggers and there's more social media. So I definitely say still get a degree in journalism.
I graduated in '87, and there weren't a lot of options open. I went to City News. I think I earned $185 a week, and still managed to keep an apartment in Lincoln Park and have a lot of fun chasing, you know, murders and fires all over the city at all hours. So I would encourage you to be flexible. I thought that I could go to my, you know, I'm from Chicago, so I thought, okay, go to journalism school, go to work for my hometown paper. It doesn't work that way. You got to start out in smaller markets, I found out, and so I had to spend 5 years marooned on the beach in Florida writing for the Tampa Tribune. Wasn't all so bad, I enjoyed it. And I eventually worked my way back here to Chicago. But see the world. It's useful to go out, you know, especially when you're young, before you got, you know, spouses and kids. Go out and see how they do things around the rest of the country.
I would expect to be flexible. I would expect to learn how to do as much as you can on any different format, whether it's broadcast or print or internet, mobile devices. Learn as much as you can about all the different ways that people are consuming media right now. And at the core of that, though, are the basic tenets of what you learn in journalism school, and that is great writing. That's never going to go away. Whether you're writing a tweet or a long-form magazine article, you have to be a good writer.
In all honesty, I think that if you're graduating now, you're heading into about the toughest time, at least in the toughest time to find a job, at least in the traditional media operations. You know, you see areas opening up that didn't exist before. Some are these sort of patch-type local sites.
You know, I think there are certainly jobs available. I think that people who are multitaskers, people who can deal with social media, who can write, who can report, who can edit, who can video, who can do kind of everything together will have a better shot at getting better jobs. I think that the pay is okay. The pay will probably go up as we figure out new nuances in our industry. But, you know, I know a lot of students who graduated last year who got jobs. So they had to move. So, so I think you can expect not necessarily staying wherever you're from. But overall, I think that you can get a very nice job. And you may have to think a little sideways sometimes, too. There are all kinds of ways to get into journalism. It doesn't have to be a traditional newspaper or traditional TV station. There's cable stations, and there's, you know, catalogs, and there's magazines, and there's business-to-business publications. So people may have to start thinking a little sideways so that they can get the job that they want. But, you know, ultimately, when you put the time in, your 10,000 hours, so to speak, you'll get what you want in the end.
Same as it always has, which is great creativity and curiosity, and a dedication to accuracy and to gathering the facts and to telling compelling stories by doing the hard work of the reporting.
You're going to have to be pretty tenacious and open-minded, I think. I don't think anybody who graduates now is thinking only radio, only TV, only newspaper. That's over, and you shouldn't be. You should be totally looking for online-only outlets or mainstream publications or outlets that do a lot of social media or new media things. That's the future.
Boy, I think you're going to have a really good set of skills. I think that you're going to have to be smart and persistent, and I think that luck is going to play a role, as it always has.
Having a good work ethic is never a bad thing. And being able to demonstrate that you're willing to put in the hours and be creative and get your facts right, I think eventually wins out. I had to send out a lot of resumes and just not let it get to me when a lot of them didn't go anywhere. If you only have a 1% success rate, then just make sure you send out 100 resumes. And just keep trying and keep a good attitude and be willing to take, don't think you're above doing obituaries or whatever kind of stories you think might be, oh no, I've graduated beyond that. I think news operations like generalists, people that can go out and cover, you know, murder one day, you know, an election campaign the next. So be flexible and be curious, ask a lot of questions, and make sure you get all the facts in.